So a couple new things that deal with razor layouts are in this chapter. You can have multiple layouts, and in the guitar shop, we have an admin layout and we have our regular layout. Now, not only can you create a different layout in a specified area, but you can actually have multiple layouts right in your regular shared folder. Okay. If you wanted to use something besides the default, then when you have a view at the top, you do need to tell it which layout that you want to use using the layout statement. So you just say layout equals, tell it which one you want. Okay, and then you can have multiple layouts within your regular shared folder. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, you might want a layout for regular customers or preferred customers or employees. Quite often, employees have an intranet or an internal uh, view, and people that aren't employees have an external view. So, lots of reasons for having multiple layouts. Another thing you can do is nesting layouts. So how does a nested layout look? I would only nest layouts if I maybe wanted to have different navigation sections or different headers and footers. And that's what this example is showing you. So we have our layout, which has the structure and is pulling in render body, but we don't have the navigation in the header or the footer. So what we've done is we pulled those out into a separate layout. And this separate layout has the navigation, it's got the footer, and then it also indicates where render body is. So what you can do then is you can pull both of these in, and what it'll do is it simply adds whatever is missing in the layout. So if we were to do that, the code how that would look is something like this, where you would have at the top, you'd have Razor pulling in the layout, or actually indicating that this should be pulled into the layout. So it just basically adds to the layout. And you don't end up with two render bodies, you only have one. But it render body here is included so that it knows where to place everything. So it knows that the header should go above, the footer should go below. Otherwise, you might end up with a header and footer in spots that you don't want. Another thing that is new is view context property. So basically what this does is it gives you data about the current view and route. And so you can use that data to determine what is active, and you can add the active attribute or class to a link. And if it's styled correctly, it will display in a different color. So here at the top, we are specifying our layout, and then we're also using the view context to retrieve the current controller in action, and we are storing them in string variables. Then you can see that we have our navigation down here, and we have an inline conditional. So our inline conditional, you'll see it starts with the at, and then we have parentheses. So the conditional expression is inside the parentheses. Okay, so whatever the result of this is, it is part of the class. So we've got navlink space, and then whatever the result from this is, and then we've got our closing double quote. And so what this is doing is it is checking, here's the condition, controller is equal to home and the action is equal to index. Okay? Those are the variables that retrieved what the current controller and action are. If those are true, okay, then it's going to add the word active, otherwise it does nothing. And so that same type of code is in each one of these links to determine which one is active. And then finally, we get into using sections. Now, I think sections are pretty cool because if you name a portion of your view using at section, then in the layout, you can actually specify where you want the code to go. You can also use this for a little custom styling. So in this little example, I have a section I'm calling header, and you can see that it's just got a little disclaimer that this is for internal use only. And then I have another little section that I'm calling styling, which is giving some fun color to H2 tags. So this is how you set it up in the view. Then the view gets pulled into the layout. So the layout actually needs to recognize these named sections. And the way it does that is you have to add at render section. So it's similar to at render body, but here it's checking for a section. And that is the first parameter. The second parameter is whether it is required or not. So typically this is set to false because not every single view is going to have this named section in it. And if you set it to false and the view doesn't have the section, it processes like normal. So here we've got at render section header. You'll notice that the name section is in double quotes because it's a string, and I've got required as false. So if the view does have a section called header, this is where it goes. Then for the styling, this is jQuery. So I am kind of limited where I pull that in because it has to go below the location where jQuery libraries are pulled in. So those jQuery libraries are pulled in at the bottom. So anything that deals with anything from those libraries needs to come in below that. Okay, so I added it to the very bottom. And you guys are going to get the opportunity to work with that.